Hi, welcome to PressPassTV.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michael Artsis. Greg Rucka is one of the coolest authors you'll ever meet, and he's really different. He writes comic books and novels, which is something that is very rare. He's most famous for his Atticus Kodiak novel series. His newest book, Patriot Acts, is in that series, and it's really cool. You have to check it out. You can do it my way, which is by going to Borders.com and ordering the book online, having it shipped directly to your house, or you can go to any Borders bookstore in the area and check out the book on book stands, which is also a nice way to do it. You can read the back of the book on the book jacket, but don't forget to check out Borders.com anyway. Anyway, without further ado, check out Greg Rucka. You're going to find that he's a great guy, and you're going to love him. Find out more about him right now.
This is an issue that's going to be out, I think, later this month. And this is an interesting one because this I co-wrote. I didn't do this all by myself. I wrote it with two friends of mine, Nunzio D. Philippus and Christina Ware. So it came out pretty well. People pay me money. And not only that, they pay me a fair amount of money to write stuff that Batman says. That's pretty cool. And if you had asked me when I was 15 if that was going to be, my life, I would have poked you in the eye and said, don't make fun of me. That's not bad. My name's Greg Rucka. I write comics, novels. I live in Portland, Oregon, with a lovely lady who also writes comics and is working on novels. I have two children. I've got a 7-year-old son and a 3.5-year-old daughter who is the ruler of all she surveys. And my son has recently lost almost all of his front teeth. I was writing early. I grew up in a house of readers. I have really clear memories of being 2 or 3 and hearing my mom's electric typewriter, going like a machine gun at the other end of the house and echoing down. My mother was a reporter, and she was a political operative for a while. My father was an attorney, or is an attorney, and I would listen to him giving dictation.
First of all, how did you get into writing? How did you get into writing novels?
I was 10, I think, and I wrote a story. I won this county-wide prize. So at that point, I was like, wow, you get accolades and attention, and the thing was, we went to an awards luncheon, so I got to skip school on top of everything else. So I think that was sort of like, okay, there's no going back, and I just kept writing. And then what I discovered was that it's a disease. It's not a profession. It's an illness that once you've got it, you cannot not do it. And if you try to not do it, you suffer debilitating setbacks. You become insomniac or melancholic or outright depressed or listless, or literally I can go about 2 weeks at this point without writing. Come about day 15, day 16, you don't want to be around me. It's really ugly.
What happens then?
I'm unbearable. Wow. I don't like anything.
Talk about your latest book, the plot, what it's about, stuff like that.
Got a new book coming out in August called Patriot Acts, which is the return of a character that I haven't written for about 3 years. He's a professional protection specialist or a bodyguard named Atticus. And Patriot Acts is sort of the culmination of an arc for the character that began in the previous book, which was called Critical Space. And the long and the short of it has him being hunted on every side at the start of the book, and by the end there's a decision as to really, if you're going to live, what sort of life you're going to have. This was an interesting one to write because I'd written a lot of this. This will be, let's see, this will be the 5th book with this guy. And I think after the 4th one, a lot of people came to me and said, well, that's it, isn't it? And I was like, no, there's more. There's more. I just didn't want to tell it for a while. And this one was a long time in coming.
What's your favorite to write?
What, in terms of novels or comics? Or
favorite thing to work on?
The thing I just finished? He said rather glibly. You have like the silver?
Yeah.
Silver Sharpies are like the best for this. All right, well, we'll do QNC in black. QNC will work fine. I did this thing called Whiteout, and Whiteout is the story of a U.S. federal marshal stationed in Antarctica, and She has to solve a series of murders before the continent closes for the winter, basically, before winter over starts. So that's how I got into comics. That led to people at DC Comics who had read my novels reading the comics and going, oh, hey, the guy can write both. And the next thing I know, I'm writing Batman, and here it is almost 10 years later, and I can't get out of comics. That's not bad, right there. The inks. See, these are roughs right now.
Can they fill in the color later?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a black and white done for proofing purposes, so lettering can be gone over, and any dialogue changes that need to be made are made. But then all this is scanned, and then the colorist will color it on computer.
Is this drawn by hand?
Yeah. Wow. And also inked by hand. Just 2 different stages. I'm very lucky. I mean, at DC, I've written what they refer to as their holy trinity. I've written Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman.
Wow. There
There was a period where I was writing all 3 at once. I had stories where I was writing monthly The Adventures of Superman, monthly Wonder Woman, and had a mini-series with Batman coming out. And it's the coolest thing in the world to write things that Superman says, or to write things that Batman does.
How do you do that?
You don't think about it too much, because if you do, you clench. When you write Batman, and you write Superman, and you write Wonder Woman, I try to write them the same way I write any character, which is I try to treat them like characters, you know. So Superman can, you know, so he's bulletproof, and so fire shoots from his eyes, and so on. But at the end of the day, you don't focus on the super, you focus on the man part. You focus on the internal life and the emotional life and the heart, because those are the things that are universal. I've had an argument with the Superman editor several times about the use of kryptonite. My feeling is it kills him, so you don't use it lightly. And there are people who write stories where, oh, he bathed in it and he's a little weak now. And it's like, you know, we gotta, you gotta set the rules up and stick to them. Otherwise, you lose the plot. There is somebody in, you know, I mean, literally in Upper Volta right now wearing a Superman t-shirt. And everybody knows what the S shield is. And to be part of that in any way is pretty phenomenal. You know, because very rarely are you guaranteed that you will have participated in something that is definitely going to outlast you. The penciler lays down the pencils, and then an inker will go over the pencils and sort of add different line weights, fill in the shadows. A good inker can radically change how it looks. It's pretty impressive. See, and this page is going to look very different once it's colored. See, sometimes you get really good art, and sometimes you don't. Comics at their best, for somebody like me, are entirely collaborative. You know, I'll write a script as best as I can, but unless the artist can execute what I'm asking for, we're shot. And some of the best work I've done in comics has been because of the strength of the collaboration. Because you can, I mean, and I have, you can bleed over a script. When I write a script, the most important thing in the script is not what I'm trying to convey to you, the reader, is what I'm trying to convey to the artist about the story that we're trying to tell together. And that's very much how I script for comics, is to tell the artist, look, this is the story we're trying to tell. These are the important things in the story. These are the important moments, and this is what we want to do. This is real-world espionage. This is superhero espionage. You can tell because this one, despite a very open and cartoony art style, is in black and white. That means it's for grown-ups. And this one is in shiny color. I started rock climbing as research. I was researching a story that I still haven't written yet about Everest. I'm a member of a rock gym, and I go and try to climb like 2 or 3 times a week. And the nice thing about living in Oregon is there are lots of real rocks to go and climb on.
Pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's you know, it's one of the things where we're trying to find a way to get some good exercise, and I get so bored by treadmills and stair climbers and all that stuff. And the thing about rock climbing is it becomes a logic puzzle. and in its own way, fairly engaging intellectual exercise. Because you know, when you're halfway up your climb and you're going like, well, I better pick my next 5 moves pretty well, because one of them I may not have the strength for, you know.
What does the future hold for you?
More books. Lots more books. And a new novel that we've got to get started in the next couple of months. I've got a couple more comic ideas that are going to be started. I've got something at DC that's coming. I'm writing a book for DC right now called Checkmate, which is sort of what would a spy organization look like in a world that has Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. And then I've got some things that I'm going to be developing independently. I've always wanted to do, I grew up on the Rockford Files. I remember running home from school, and if I could get home in time, I would make it in time to catch the answering machine. And there hasn't been good PI since, you know, Magnum went away.
Just going to say the same thing,
Yeah.
Magnum.
We had Magnum, we had Simon & Simon, and then they all went away. And every now and then Hollywood tries to roll something out and they go, whoa, we'll do an updated PI thing that, you know, like the guys who did The Practice, you know, and it sucks because they're too clever. And then you have over at USA them doing Monk, you know, or Psych, where it's got to be, we'll do PIs, but we have to have a gimmick.
Right.
Nobody's doing Marlowe, which is what Rockford was. Nobody's doing the PI who's the best man in his world and a good enough man for any world. And that's what I want to do next. I got an idea for a comic series that's going to be that. I'm lucky enough that I get to write what I want for the most part.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that segment, and we hope you'll join us real soon on PressPassTV.com. You can find out more about Greg Rucka and all his books at Borders.com. You can shop online there, pick out the books, and have them delivered right to your door, or you can pick them up on book stands. Don't forget about Patriot Act's his newest book, which is a must-read, and you got to have it. It's out there now, so go check it out. I'm Michael Artsis for everyone here at PressPassTV.com saying so long, be terrific.